Hi, and welcome to a Wired Family Update. Did you ever hear the old adage, parents of teenagers know why animals eat their young? Well, nobody really feels that way, right? But it pretty much sums up how frustrating it can be when the one thing you love more than life itself goes off the rails from time to time. Well, that pretty much sums up how frustrated I was by naive teens and the issues they've created for themselves and others while we were doing this research. But as adults, we brought much of this on ourselves by allowing inappropriate media to seep into our family rooms and into the hands and the eyes of our kids. For baby boomers, we recall how the typical TV sitcom depicted the bedrooms of married couples. For example, in the Dick Van Dyke Show, the Petries had twin beds, answering the age-old question, why did Rob and Laura only have one child? Fast forward to the 1990s and the sex-starved antics of Friends and the torrid sex scenes of Ally McBeal and Sex and the City. Yet by today's streaming TV shows, even those programs are akin to Winnie the Pooh on spring break. Yet some exist as reruns on both cable and local TV stations in the early evenings. Interestingly, one of the most watched TV shows by teens and tweens on network TV is The Big Bang Theory, an unquestionably well-written and funny program, but often irradiating sexual promiscuity and commentary. What does this say to our kids? Casual sex is part of growing up? Is it? Should it be? For example, in an Association of Psychological Science report by Dr. Ross O'Hara titled, Exposure to Sexual Content in Popular Movies Predicts Sexual Behavior in Adolescents, O'Hara and his fellow researchers surveyed 684 top-grossing movies from back in 1998 all the way through 2004. They coded the movies for seconds of sexual content like heavy kissing or sexual intercourse. Researchers then recruited 1,228 participants who were ages 12 to 14 years old to view 50 of these randomly selected titles. Now, after following these kids over about a 6-year period, they discovered that adolescents who are exposed to more sexual content in movies start having sex at younger ages and have more sexual partners. Of course, today's teens have a hard time differentiating between movies, TV apps, and the like. Much of what they view is through the screens of their smartphone or tablets, hyperlinked together through a mesh of interactivity and other media. But regardless of screen, they're bombarded with sex and sometimes emulate what they see, record it, and share it with thousands. For example, according to a 2014 study by the American Academy of Pediatrics, 20% of middle school students have received a sex message, and 5% have sent them. Now, that was nearly 4 years ago. In more recent studies, by the time kids have reached high school, 20 to 30% of teens have sent sex messages. Even the Washington Post asks, is sexting the new first base? As parents, we're all too often not paying attention to what our kids are watching and doing, and the slow and steady impact this is having on our children. It's based on what is actually happening in many homes across our country. If we think the issues related to Hollywood and political leaders today are bad, wait until this generation comes of age, and they're the leaders of our society. Much of their actions have been recorded and will resurface, and they will have created their own evidence. A great example is the app Musical.ly, generally thought by well-meaning parents to be a benign little app for their future star progeny. According to a 2017 article in Forbes magazine, Musical.ly had a mercurial rise over the last few years. However, their growth is not the issue. It's the content in which your child has access. Musical.ly is designed to allow kids to lip-sync 15-second video clips of their favorite songs. However, a look at the top 5 song titles on Musical.ly's playlist recently suggests that parents have actually no idea what their child is singing to, nor the adult nature of their dancing. For example, these video clips are taken from Musical.ly's dance competitions. Although publicly viewable, we have hidden their faces. The video has been seen by thousands on YouTube and Musical.ly, along with other Musical.ly competitions. Now, most of these kids are between the ages of 13 and 15. Come on, really? Do their parents really know that they're sharing this information, these videos with the world? And here are lyrics from Rihanna's touching ode to politeness and empathy. Bitch better have my money. One of the highest rated tunes on Musical.ly. And this video was part of a Musical.ly competition as well for that song. Then there's Lively, the live broadcast app that's now integrated with Musical.ly. Although most of the live content on the app seems pretty tame, there are some that test the limits, and the commentary of the haters is often both rude and crude. Am I suggesting that you monitor everything that your 17 to 18-year-old child is doing? Come on, no, absolutely not. However, I am saying for your younger, less mature kids, you got to be aware of what your child has access to and is viewing. The good old days were not as good as we thought. What went on in Hollywood and Washington behind the scenes was likely every bit as bad as what we're witnessing today. However, what is now making it onto our child's screens and into our homes should be a concern for every parent. Being a parent is the most difficult job we'll ever have, but in some respects, we've made it harder based on what we really think is important. Larger homes, better car, the trappings of life in the suburbs, we all go through it. Nothing, though, is more important in our lives than the time with our kids and our family. But according to therapist Tom Kirsting, the average American family spends just 3.5 minutes per week in meaningful conversations with each other. So today, I ask you to join the thousands of other parents throughout the world to be part of the change. Let's ask ourselves, what impact do these apps, these songs, these videos, and other media have on our kids? Are we watching? Are we listening and understanding that potential impact? Perhaps start a Wait Until 8th chapter at your school and get others to join the movement as well. It all starts with speaking with, not at, our kids. Creating those tech-free zones and times that I mentioned frequently. And yes, managing and monitoring what your child is doing online. No one actually subscribes to the meme, parents of teenagers know why animals eat their young. But if we don't protect our kids, culture will most certainly eat their future. Kids are by nature curious and rebellious. Let's start our own rebellion. Let's be parents. Thanks for joining us today, and please consider sharing this video with a friend or family member that you feel might benefit. For more information, go to awiredfamily.org or email us at stephen@awiredfamily.org.